Karibu sana to Homescapes today. It's been a while. We've missed you guys. We've really missed you. So believe me when I say we are excited to be back today. Of course, a million things have happened since we were last seated on this place, right? Yeah, and one of them, of course, is coming close home. We have a new nominee to be the Chief Justice, Lady Martha Koome. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, to have a woman rising to that seat.
Making a lot of progress. I don't know whether the men should be concerned.
Hatulali. Bado mapambano. That is very exciting. And then outside the country, we had the passing on of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. But you have to acknowledge.
My name is
Your name?
We have Philip here.
Oh, we have to know that. Waiting.
And Maura, an amazing man. He supported the Queen for more than 70 years.
I mean, amazing. This is supporting, you know?
Yeah. But what's up?
He was by her side as she ruled and reigned. Him, playing second.
Very sad because of the support of the man. Not by her own merit. It's the support of the man.
Behind every great woman. Behind every great woman is a great man. A great prince.
Can't wait to see what Joanne
will become. And of course, sincerely, I'm also thinking of if we go to Tanzania, the passing on again of President Magufuli, a great man,
a great African statesman.
He was, and of course, with that comes
supported by a great,
VP, who is now the president.
For me, I'm thinking, a great president secure enough to have a woman as his VP, knowing that if he's not there, she will rise to ultimate power. Those are the kind of
but
men.
you see, that's the point. He wouldn't be there, but for as long as he's there, he's
that
the one in power.
That one we can argue, but
But you see, it's not him who put himself there. He was put by the electorate of Tanzania. However, after where he has the power to put the highest ranking officer in the government,
he chooses
a woman.
Highest ranking how?
The
secure man would be the running mate to the woman president. Not the president.
Well, depending on
Depending
on whether the woman presents herself for presidency in the first place.
Who's to say she didn't? Who's to say she didn't do it?
Oh no, we know
and
the history.
And then the party said, then the party decides no.
We are in a context.
I feel like this debate is already picking up. Another new one, guys. You thought you had Fodder to talk about, but there's also, last time we met, US.
Yes, we were under President Trump.
Was under President Trump, as you know, as they exchanged tweets with, I think, John Legend's wife on Twitter. But now we have President Joe Biden, but also alongside him, Vice President Kamala Harris, which is, I must say,
second most powerful position in the entire world.
I'm just wondering why not
second. I know they're making big of the second position.
But you guys, you haven't considered that there could be a question being raised by people about the spouses of these women.
Absolutely.
So are they supportive?
Are they supportive?
That's the pertinent question. And Rev Maggie, that is naturally leading to actually our topic for today, and that is supporting your spouse through supporting, I must add, your spouse through different seasons
of life.
So, we can now...
Because
we need to look deeper into this. We need to look deeper into this support and how it looks.
So I want to ask this question. Are men happy to support their women when they have power?
Of course, 100%. I actually, speaking for the men, I would say we are extremely excited to support women when they are in power. However, there has to be considerations before the power is taken up.
I love his explanation that comes with the however, very much early in the statement.
What are considerations?
Considerations are many. Number one, if it is power, for example, in politics, you're going to be teared down. As a caring husband, I must think, are you ready to face all that confrontation with media, with evil men in politics?
I knew all of that would happen, and I am ready.
Yes. No, I just want to make sure you are ready.
I have not thought about it.
Sometimes We do, maybe not.
Because women don't think about these things in advance, Ama.
Because even men should think about these things. So we all need to think about these things. You know?
Let's agree that men sometimes do think. Let's give it to them. They think about these things. But what is at the heart of the man when the wife has a position of power and influence? Are they comfortable? Are they concerned? Are they insecure?
Yeah. Are they happy with
And I
it?
think,
And let's
I think
talk about that.
that's a real deal. You know, asking what are the things that you really fear? You know, your spouse rising maybe to these high political or corporate offices. You know, because we have looked back, a few men have looked back, and maybe they have seen there are some men who are, you know, become subservient or become enslaved when their wives rises to these high offices. You get
They
maybe they rule
Subservient.
yes
Who makes them
they their wives, you know, one because you know the wife will this power, this influence tend to negatively affect their relationship.
Yes.
You get
Tend to
so
negatively
Do men
yes,
think
so
that
we
women
have
can
seen
handle it?
or men have seen some marriages that have been affected by that, such that when maybe their wives come back home and say that there's this position that I'm being given, or that the position that is not being given, I'm being promoted to this position. So the husband might say, you know, maybe have you considered, you know, the implications? Sometimes what the wife might interpret that my husband doesn't want to support me, you know, he's cautious, you know, he doesn't believe in me and something like that. But granted, they are real fears.
Let me,
You know.
Reverend Philip, I also want to add before the women come and hang us on a stake. That question is very important. And the truth is, even the men who are in power, their wives ask them the same issues, you know? And many of them, for example, if they're going into politics, the ladies say, you know, sometimes they would say, no, I don't want you to go into politics because I think it will expose the family a certain way, and I'm not ready to face, you know, media asking us questions and so on, and the many negative things that come with certain positions of authority and power. So it's not an illegitimate consideration when the man asks the woman if she's going into power, have you considered?
Bishop, here's my issue.
But you see, the moment the man asks that,
Already it's an issue.
No, here's my
you are not
issue. I'll tell
supportive,
you.
but
Because
when
what
the
you
woman
guys are
says that,
doing,
is caring
you're
for the
making it
family.
look like you just ask the right questions, the questions that are asked by anyone, any reasonable, rational human in the society. I'll give you two studies, things that people have studied, how men, not just the spouses, but the ones who, so here's a study of a woman who is trying to apply for a leadership position in a corporate setting. And I've told you guys about this thing before. And first of all, the board members are mostly men. And they call the husband to ask, first, do you know, are you aware that your wife is applying for these positions?
Lauren,
Are you
they
okay
care
with
enough.
this?
They care
Are
enough to
you-
call the husband.
One, two, three things. I have never seen a man applying for a position in a corporate setting, and that the man there calling his wife to ask, do you know your husband is doing this? Have you talked about it at home? What is the issue? Why do I need permission as a woman?
Probably.
I'm grown up. No, wait.
Goja.
Psychologists have said once I'm 25 years old, my brain is fully matured. I don't
No.
need another person to determine
Probably
for me.
men are more
what's
open
going
about
on. Wait.
things they have
Another
applied
thing
for.
I have had happens, I don't know whether you guys know, maybe Bishop and Reverend Maggie know, is that if we are in the same field, now in the instance of Bishop Charles and Reverend Maggie, if Reverend Maggie gets applies for a job, say in another church or whatever, and for whatever reason, you know, Bishop Charles is out of work, if she gets that position, he can take it. I don't know if you know, you get what I'm saying. Like, let's say Martha Koome. If her husband is a lawyer and the position has been offered to her, she can give it to her husband and it's okay. Like, you get what I'm saying? The board can take him because they're in the same field. And first of all, I asked myself, which husbands will take that position? And that, first of all, I have an issue with. Why would you take a position that I have worked for, done interviews for?
The interview studied
Yes,
for.
studied for.
he's not
All
qualified.
my life, I have focused towards
Oh,
getting
then
there.
he is not qualified at all.
He's not qualified because he didn't apply for the
He didn't
position.
apply for
He
it,
applied
but
for
he's okay taking it. He can't even ask them, kwa nini mnaniuliza,
Mnanipay? Yeah,
why is it even an option in your head? But the men will take it, and the people will be okay for the man to take it. I have an issue with that. Women are not given that choice. Men will not go and say to the woman, no, we can give your wife that position.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Nowhere.
But you know,
Nowhere.
Okay.
let me just
Let me hear Reverend Baggy. Let me
I
hear
just
Reverend
want to
Baggy over
quickly
here.
say, it has been argued that men insecurity rate is so high, they can't afford even to support a wife with a good position.
Yes.
And the reason is they don't even have a chance to ask good questions like how will it affect our marriage,
Yeah.
how will it affect the children. Now, but the first thing to say for the men is, don't take it.
Yes.
No, oh, you know, it's not good for you. You can't take it. But they don't explain. Women will say, if the husband has a position
Madam
of power,
Moderator.
let me just finish
hand
this
is
one.
up.
No,
Yeah.
They will
Reverend
say
Maggie has
this,
yeah. There's a thought
if you
here.
accept a political position, it will put us in the limelight. We are not ready for it, perhaps. It will affect our family in this way.
So this is
we
the
don't
man
have the
listing.
money. This is a woman
Analyzing
the
when-
impact of the position.
The
Yeah.
negative
On the
impact.
family.
Not,
family.
But the
let's-
man
we want
will
you to
not
do it.
say
How can we
what
help you
his
to do it?
points are.
Yeah,
No?
yeah.
Isn't it, yeah? The man will not give an analysis. He'll say bluntly, you are not taking
No,
it.
exactly.
Even before you get married, the man has already told you in advance, me, by the way, I would be okay if you can stay home. Me, I can take care of your needs. You stay home and take care of the children. Who told you I was studying primary, secondary, campus, masters to sit at home?
So by the time you are marrying this man,
And you are the one giving me the idea.
no,
to
by
sit
the
at
time
home.
you are
You
marrying
don't
this
stay home.
man and you knew his
I don't know the
stance,
stand of this
you
man.
had accepted
No,
to
why
go
you
in that route. Why are you all of a
Why do you
sudden
even
now a
have that thought in
political?
your head? Why do you even have the thought in your head
don't
to tell me that it would be great for me? You know
Taste
me, I
and
don't trust,
preferences.
I don't
People
trust
have,
giving a
nini.
stranger my children to take care of.
Yeah, yeah.
So me, I would want my wife to stay. Why is that a thought in your head at all?
But
you
you
know,
see, we don't talk about.
what
let
you
me
are
hear
saying,
Bishop over here.
Men in America, in Europe, are doing exactly what you are saying. You know, they are looking after the children, and the women are going out to
Why
work.
aren't you
Why
then?
are we not
Bishop
here?
Charles, why
Yeah.
aren't you then?
I think one is a geographical problem because of where we are located.
Economic
Such a geographical problem.
Yes, we're in Africa. You know, but by the way, the same people, the
And
same
government
Kenyans
support.
who are in America are doing something very different.
Yeah.
And then there are issues of culture and history. But I just want to say, I needed us even to define which men are these we are talking about. Because even as, you see, we were quiet. We were equally shocked. That some men
We are
do the
wondering,
things that
such
you
a
are saying.
research was done.
Who are
Telling
those?
you.
When was this guy?
Good,
Was
good
it-
Christian men.
Christian men
So-
outside there.
But the
Bishop,
truth,
finish your thought.
yeah, I'm just saying, truth be told, in this day and age, I think we must recognize the kind of progress that we've made, even as a nation. When you think about, for example, for Maggie and I, we're really the first post-independence generation. And in our day, you know, just in less than 60 years, we have a lady chief justice. We've just said that. If we go across the country, Suluhu, the first president, female president in East Africa, is also within our generation. I think she was born in 1960 or something like that. Again, post-independence. It's a lot of progress when you think about it critically. Our Supreme Court has, you know, lady justices, etc. So in many and corporate bodies nowadays, they are appointing women CEOs. It's a very short time. When you think about, for example, even thinking internationally, you know, the US is feted as a progressive, democratic state, etc. Just in the 60s, women couldn't vote. After more than 200 years of independence, you know, they started voting the other day. Even, I mean, there's so much progress that we've made as a nation, and especially as an African nation, that in just one generation post-independence, we have key positions. In fact, it's not now, you know, a stretch of imagination to imagine, you know, that the next whoever will be running for president, I would not be surprised if the running mate is a woman, and with the real possibility that in a few years we would have a woman president. So I don't think we are where we used to be in terms of how women were viewed, in terms of their positions, in their power, their authority. Maybe the thing we need to look at a little bit closely is the smaller economic unit called the family,
Yes,
because
yeah,
that has
yeah.
unique dynamics in itself, because we can't, for example, the question of male security, we can't apply it generally, because I could be, as a person, I could be insecure, and I could quote historical injustices, you know, that have been done to me, so that when Maggie marries me, though we went to the same university, have similar degrees, etc., I'm suddenly threatened by her as a woman. But that is a me issue.
Yeah.
We can't make it a general male issue. So those ones we can address independently. But on general, I would say the progress that we've made is immense. And
So,
Yes.
but
In
then,
fact,
but then
just
guys,
one,
allow me
yes.
to ask a question as you guys debate and come up with all these points, which I can hear and agree. But my question is, why haven't we then normalized, you know, the
Yeah.
ascension of the woman up there? you
But
know?
we have.
And
No.
Let
First
me,
of
let me
all,
finish.
can
Let
we- yeah,
me finish.
yes,
Let me
yeah.
finish my thoughts. You know, we get a Kamala Harris getting into to vice presidency.
Yes.
We get Suluhu close home becoming a president. You know, all the media stations are talking about it. Yes, we do know. But how come it's a big deal if you compare ascension of a man
To power.
up there to power and ascension of a woman? Why is it
Such
for
a
a
big
woman?
deal.
It's such a big deal. It's a different case. So for me, that's a statement on there's something that is not right. It is true we have some in power already. But how come it's not the norm in society?
Yeah.
What's that one thing down there? You know, let's go to the core and analyze. Why is the world
Wh-
shaken
yeah,
when we hear a
yeah.
woman is up there in
Yeah.
power? Probably we can try interrogate that some
Yeah.
more.
I think
see
part
where
of
we-
it is just history. Again,
Yes.
remember, we are coming from a context, yeah? And we are not trying to justify here and say that the playing field is level. Not yet. In fact, we are quite a few years before we can say the playing field is level. I mean, just the other day, we were very big on girl child empowerment because the girl child was really disenfranchised. But look at what has happened in just about less than 2 decades. You know, now we are talking about the disempowered boy child. So even as we put what we call
He's not disempowered.
corrective measures,
When
let's
he's
let
equal
the
to the
pendulum
woman,
not
it's
swing
swing to
too
the
far
other
to the
side.
other side, because I mean, right now we do have a problem with the boy child, and so that when we are looking at history, then we can say, is there progress? Because somebody says 5 steps ahead, and no. 5 steps in front and 2 steps backwards still equals 3 steps ahead. So that societies don't, you can't flip the switch on a society. There is, there are societal norms, there are entrenched, you know, habits and so on, which change slowly over time. Again, if you change too quickly, it could also harm the society. But if it is gradual, yes, just like independence, if you call for a revolution, sometimes revolutions can be destructive and not correct what they sought to be, whatever. So what I'm saying is, let's look at it as there has been some progress. And we should be asking, is the progress in the right direction? If it is, then we deal with the question of time. Can we accelerate or catalyze the change so that it happens faster? But there has been progress. And because the women have been generally disenfranchised in the past, the corrective measures that are being put in place now, and we are seeing actual results coming in, we can say we are moving in the right direction. So that when we hear there is a woman president, of course it's going to be a big deal. With the first time we had Obama was president in America, it was a big deal because there have been historical injustices meted against the blacks, you know, over time, so that people living 2 generations ago could never have dreamt that a nation that the US, like the US, can be, you know, led by a man of color. It was just out of this world. So we celebrate those. You're saying, I'm trying to answer why it's a big deal. We celebrate the normalization, you know, because it's a progression. Eh? One day, it won't be breaking news. Maybe you guys, when you're our age, you know, whether if the lady president running, you're not even discussing gender issues, you'll be discussing competencies, you know. But in our days, it's a very big deal. Because just a generation ago, we would never have imagined coming from a very patriarchal community, very traditional
no, but here is my
community.
case. I don't know whether I can say this before Bishop ametupeleka mpaka kwa independence
I know, right?
and black.
I am now silent.
Me, I'm saying, it's not all lives matter. Oh, black lives matter. Yes, all lives matter. No.
Women
This
lives matter.
particular issue. The reason we are, I don't know what word to use, it's not normalized for you. I don't talk about the men in the society and in the world. These are our men here at home, our spouses that we're talking about. President Suluhu has just come into the country. Did anyone see her husband walking alongside her or behind her? The way Michelle Obama would be walking with Barack Obama or
Probably.
Melania Trump walking with Trump.
Probably,
everywhere.
Lorraine,
No.
then the question lies
No,
there.
the man is somewhere and we don't know why he is wherever he is.
Are you ladies bringing us in when you rise to power, or do you go
Am I the
alone?
one bringing you?
Yeah, exactly. I thought you were
Yay!
supporting.
Why
Are you
not-
supporting
you're
us
supposed to be
to
supporting
come
me and coming
alongside?
along me higher. You're sitting at somewhere watching a movie with a man. My husband Dennis, I hope he's not watching this. And you know how you watch these things for a man leading the CIA or the FBI or whatever, and he's authoritative and he says, I want you to do this, I want you to do the other, and you're going to lose your job if this and this. And that's normal. But once a woman is the one in power and then she says such a thing and she says, I want you to do it, and then a man says, hey, that woman is being too much. I'm like, but you did not say that
When the man was
when a man was talking the same way. So in your mouth, by your mouth, you're saying we are supporting women, but something at the back
in
of
the
your head,
subconscious,
a
deeply
good Christian
entrenched.
woman I know, married to a pastor,
Pastors.
said, let me tell you, even these pastors, their daughters they are supporting. They want you to go and study and become everything. But me, his wife, it is the same man. He will not let me go. No, when you go, things happen to families. He will not let the wife go. The daughter, but he wants the daughter to thrive. How is it in you, the same person who is saying you're supporting women? How is that happening? You know what I'm saying?
No, we're
So this
complex
thing,
beings, eh?
yes. Then you hear a man
Such a
say,
good
oh,
excuse."
women are emotional. They can't lead. And they will cry in the boardroom.
No
Sijui
crying
nini.
in the boardroom.
I want to ask you, and I'm hoping I'm being very respectful, when President Trump refused to come to Nani's inauguration, Joe Biden's, was that not an emotional move? Was that a woman? Is former President Trump a woman? Has a woman ever behaved like that?
But you know, there are men and then there's
Lorraine, those are pertinent questions. Those are
Well, women are
Distinction, yeah,
emotional
rightful
and they can't
distinction,
do this and the other. Oh, women are feeling the pressure, they have to change their dressing. They're not changing their dressing because they want to look like a man. They're changing their dressing because if you are too beautiful, the men are not focusing on the agenda on the table. They're looking at your beauty. The issue is with the man. It is not with the woman who is dressed properly. Can we all focus? Women can do these things. Me, I've never been in a meeting where a woman cried because she was given bad feedback. I have never been. Then they say, oh, the family will fall apart. Which one? Can you just give us an
Lorraine,
example?
even if women cry, that's okay.
Yeah.
It is
It's a
allowed.
package. A
It
woman
is an
comes to a
emotion.
package, she's
It is
emotional.
an
Yeah.
emotion that given by
That
God.
doesn't
no
mean,
apology
because
there.
you can't be, it's not that if you're emotional, you're not being logical at the same time. You can be crying and speaking logic.
Now,
They are not mutually
Let the
You
men
need to
here
get by
respond
to
for a
answer the
minute.
question. You know,
Yeah, we have heard you.
you have had you. Thank
Yes.
we have heard you, and it's true. There are some maladies that, by God's help, God is helping us to overcome and to withstand and even to heal. You get? And as Bishop said, many are in it's a generation in transition. You have been socialized in this way, such that by the time someone is breaking those glass ceilings, you really appreciate them. You get? But in the context of, I don't know if you're asking, when women rise to these positions and then men don't follow them, are you asking that we wanted women to rise to this position and then we see men, we see men physically, behind them, so that you may assume that actually men are supporting them. I mean, and we celebrated Prince Philip, who always walked for 73 years.
Yeah, I think Prince
And
Philip
by the
was
way,
fought.
he walked
I think
behind
there was
the
fought by the
queen.
foundation of England.
Hey.
These presidents will only be there for 5 years. Obama was only there for 8 years. You get? Prince Philip has been there for 73 years,
Yes.
not leaving
I think
his
he was
wife.
well taught. You know,
I
he
think
was a
it was
prince
well
already.
trained.
And you know,
the constitution.
He had to be, it's the constitution.
Yeah.
He's
No,
the
no,
monarch.
he made a choice.
Otherwise
He was
is
very
the
well
made a
educated in
choice
the matter.
Before the
to
queen.
follow.
He did not give himself and say, I want to kneel before you, my queen. He was required.
They had a private chat as a husband
And wife.
Yes,
wife.
but in the eyes
You
of the
get? And he
public,
came
there
there.
was no being
He
forced.
came there, and if he didn't want as a husband, he would have disobeyed the constitution.
You know,
get?
guys,
As a
I'm
prince.
listening to you,
But
and here's
for,
what
70, for 73 years, if he would have changed. He would have influenced his wife
he had
to change.
no
The
other
man
wife.
has nowhere to go.
Remember, he had nowhere to go. Remember, he left
No,
Greece.
the
He
question
left
is-
the monarchy in Greece.
The monarchy
He was
you see,
demolished. He had to
I feel like we are making an assumption here.
ukose
But for
alafu
73 years, how can you lie for
Yes.
73 years?
The assumption
was not your intention.
The assumption is
Lie
that
for 4 years.
Human being.
You can lie for 5
Guys,
years.
human
Lorraine, you
being.
can
Guys,
lie for 8
allow
years.
me.
But
Reverend
that's
Philip,
73 years.
Reverend Philip, that's a very
and let me tell you,
passionate
the one
point.
thing is until death. You get, someone can support the
A more faithful man there never has
you
been.
get, you can support. You say, my wife Joanne, she's the president. Oh God.
Reverend
Hear us.
Philip, this is where I raise my glass and click
but
it.
I know that within 10 years she'll not be in that office. But for this one, for all your life, you will be.
Our pastor is very passionate.
Okay.
Guys, pertinent questions rising up. And here's where I leave at. You did say there's some growth we are seeing. We are coming from a place of deeply entrenched norms and traditions and what of the woman being behind the back. Probably all we need to do is assess the growth. Why is this growth rate so minute such that it's almost
Yeah.
Oh
unfelt?
my,
Yeah.
Jasmine,
That's a
it is not
but
minute.
before
Let
we
me
get
give you
into
an
that,
example.
guys, before we get
Acceptable.
into that, before we get into that answer, we're going to take a short break because you need to sip some water so that we can continue with the discussion.
sure.
See you shortly.
Okay.
Neno lako lasema nitaweza kuikabili kila hali, kwani Kristo unipa nguvu. Na tena lasema wewe unawapa uwezo walio hafifu, na wanyonge unawapa nguvu. Lakini Bwana, sina nguvu, sina uwezo, niko hoi kwa uchungu. Nirudishie nguvu kama ulivyoahidi, nirudishie nguvu kama ulivyoahidi. Nguvu zako Bwana zitanisimamisha, uwezo wako Yesu utanifanya imara.
Thank you. Welcome back. We sure have cooled down and are ready to continue with this discussion. When we were leaving, my question was to the team. Different things are coming up. There's a whole argument here that progress for women into leadership is being seen, and especially progress for women who are married. And they're saying people are not intimidated. But my observation from the statistics you've given us, the growth is so slow. So slow. What's happening?
Imperceptible.
How
No.
can we expedite the process?
Jasmine, I
if you
think-
guys are for it, if you guys
Yeah.
are for women in leadership, and this goes to the ladies as well, how can we expedite the process so that we can normalize when Kamala Harris rises to power and Biden, we are celebrating them equally. The media stations are celebrating them equally, not one above the other.
Can I go first and
Yes.
tell you there is a serious problem?
Tell us about the problem.
There's a serious problem. I think accepting that women can lead is an issue. I want to honor an organization I worked for, and I worked for that organization as a very senior manager. I was in senior management, but when it came to benefits, they told me, because you're married, you can't have certain benefits.
Because
What? No.
I argued my case for like 2 years.
Guy.
Arguing and saying, what do you mean? Because your husband is getting a house allowance, for example. But I say, but my husband is not working for your organization. How?
Thank God for supportive husband.
How did they even know?
Exactly.
Fairness.
How do they know? And it does not.
No,
But
to
here's-
stand
here-
when they are facing
here
injustice.
is my point. We may have grown. We are saying we are 60 years post-dependence, but that is structural, infrastructural, and perhaps political development. But in terms of our social development, social-cultural development, we are still in the boodoos.
Yes.
Allow me to explain.
Yes, wearing skins.
Where men went to war. When we talk about the primitive communities where men were hunter-gatherers, men went to hunt and to gather. They exercised their muscles, they hunted, they gathered, they brought stuff home, and the wives were at home. Their grandfathers, the grandfathers and knew that's the order of society at that time. Let alone when men joined employment, it was still men who went out and women stayed at home. So I'm saying, and I'm observing, and I want to be corrected here, that men have observed over time that when women stay at home, it appears like they do not qualify to enjoy similar benefits at work like their men counterparts.
Yes.
Now, when women have joined the workforce and they work just like the men do, they are qualified, they are competent, they are skilled, they have even the experience even better than the men. The men still struggle to accept that a woman can get the same benefits as a man.
Yeah.
So I feel social struggles or cultural struggles hinder our men culturally in accepting that a woman can hold a position of power.
And haven't we accepted that that is a developmental issue? You know, because of, in fact, how you described it from the hunter-gatherer, you know, all the way to now being in the office together with the woman. By the way, we still go hunting, but we go to the gym nowadays. But, and then the women follow us there. But the truth about it is, you know, there is some progress. And so that's why I was saying we need to give society time to change its thinking from the, you know, primeval or medieval thinking to modern thinking, where we are all in the same workplace, part of the same workforce, and now even the grading system and the evaluation system is similar to you as a worker, not as, you know, gender-specific individual. But you see, it takes time for people to change that thinking.
But
and
me,
in the course of changing, then there are people who challenge that thinking, and then they, you know, and hopefully that organization must have changed by now. I'm sure now the ladies who come in, they come in their own capacity.
My issue with why is society taking time? Because society is made up of individuals. You as Bishop Charles, you as Reverend Maura, and you as Pastor Mavenge. How is it that you need time? Is it that you are not yet convinced that a woman is equal to you? That a woman can do what you can do? Why is it that
Exactly, and
what is
as we buy and as we buy time,
Yes.
what's this state? What are we doing as we buy time to see that grow?
You're
you
changing.
the men fighting
How?
for the women
How?
amongst your own circle of men?
so-
Ama when you meet with your men
It's
for
what
those
Bishop has
yamas
said.
and whatevers, munaenda ku share notes of venye, hey, me I can't be told by my woman sijui nini. Me if
Okay.
I'm with my woman and we're in a setup, me I have to be served
see-
food. Because me I'm embarrassed to be seen by my friends having myself food. What are you talking
and my
about?
wife is
You see,
there.
no,
Why is your
Let us hear this
Kwanza you
guy.
Christian
Let's
men.
hear
let me
Reverend
hear
here reply.
Reverend. Let me
It
hear
takes
Reverend
time,
Philip.
and the reason sometimes it takes a while is because if it's not broken, don't fix it. You get?
What do you mean?
But it's broken.
What do you mean?
No,
It's
super
broken.
You get, by the time that one is coming to realize, oh, this thing is broken, and you start fixing it.
Yeah,
you
it
get?
will take
But,
time.
it takes time, but before, women don't have a problem.
No, tell
they
us.
are okay
Tell
staying
us,
at home.
me, to try
you know, men are
conversation.
okay going out there. and
Conversation
ranting and-
mumeyaka kwa hewa. Tell me, what is it that's taking time in your mind, Reverend Maura?
For-
What is it
as
that
a-
you're
as a-
struggling with?
as a-
You,
as a-
not
as-
men, you.
As a husband and
These
as a
are not
father
the
of two
men
girls,
with that
I don't
problem.
now. I
What
don't
are
think I
you
have the
struggling
problem.
with?
I don't have any problem with women rising.
No, you. Tell me. No, tell me. That thing you're saying takes time to put together. That you have just discovered it's broken.
It's broken.
Tell me that because the details come
you
to the
see-
small things of serving food or allowing your lady to come home later. What's that? Come home late at night. Even just arriving at 9 p.m.
Wait,
You have to say where you are.
Visiting
that's
your
a
own
security
parents.
issue.
Him
Yeah.
visiting your own parents.
No,
You have to
You
say.
need permission. You
A
need
man
to
will walk in
explain.
at 10 and say, "Oh, hi guys, how are you? Kuna food."
Yes.
na mnasonga. Me, if I walk in at 10, I have to say, oh, you know, I was with Reverend Jasmine, and the Uber did what? Why are you expecting that?
Because
the problem now is, you know, nowadays people are accommodating that because there are street lights all over the country.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a
and all.
security
So your
issue.
issue
But
was,
when Akina Bishop
It's a
were growing, they
security
were getting
issue.
married.
Now we have
No,
Ubers,
women can't
Nini,
be-
you can be dropped home. Before that was,
Let me hear
in
it.
fact,
dare you not
Let me
ask
hear
her
Pastor
that?
yes,
Malenge.
dare you not
Ask,
ask.
don't
In
you
fact, you
care?
become
You know, I could have
uncaring.
been mugged. Why did you come to meet
And
me?
she wants to call you when she's in the office, and you should talk on phone until she gets home,
Yes.
which is a caring venture. Let me say, change takes time. Why does change take time?
You guys are thriving
wait,
on that
wait.
statement. Please
Because
define it some
individuals
more.
are individuals, and as generations change, people's mindsets change, and people's mindsets to change, there has to be information that is coming up that is convincing.
Yes.
And I think Reverend Maggie's example has captured it very well. How the state organization, now things are different.
Yeah.
And you guys are saying that it is slow. I don't think it is slow.
And by the time we are coming, Malenge, please remind them that by the time we are coming to say that
In fact, right now,
It's an
2022, if there is a contention within the presidential election, you know who will decide whether we will go for the election or
She
not?
has power over the president.
What do you mean that you don't have power?
Let me
What do you
tell
mean
you-
that the steps are
Let me tell you,
Rev
Rev,
Jazz,
the something Pastor Malenge has to do.
Please know that also the freedom that we have now to notice the problems that are there. There is a generation, like in Bishop here, who fought hard. You know, people died. You get so that we can be able to celebrate some of these.
No, that
freedoms.
was the
so these
generation
are
before us,
changing.
by the way.
You know, things
Yeah,
are improving. Things are changing. When my children,
Yeah.
like Natasha and Jerry, they will not be arguing about these things. They'll be,
Yeah.
We hope
in
so,
another-
because
they'll
the
be in
boys
another-
can only-
they'll be
We
in
can only hope so. See how long US took to get where they are at.
And-
200.
And then you
And you
know,
guys,
Eventually, it
you
has
cannot
that's how long
bring
we're
all
going to
the
take as a
issues-
country.
Eventually it has
you
changed.
cannot
to
bring
get
all
there.
the issues on the table at the same time. So we had to first fight
What do you mean
slavery.
we can't bring them all at the
We
same
started
time?
with
Are you
the
doing
civil
it
rights,
in
the civil rights
Kenya?
movement.
rights
before we
have
come to the
come,
voting
now the
rights.
issues of color,
Yeah.
the races.
No, it's
now
over.
let's talk about women empowerment.
Guys,
Surely we cannot.
let's
too
wrap
much
up
to
this
ask? Yeah, is it
discussion
too much to
because
ask?
it's reviving more and more and more
Yeah.
and more.
Okay, so
Let's acknowledge the acknowledgement, which I'm hoping we're on the same table. You have something
I
to say?
just
Go
want to
first.
add, we brought in the cultural angle. I want to bring this back to church because these are pastors, my friends. Whoever you're watching, I want to assure you, these are bishops and reverends and pastors. Kwanza. On top of the fact that culture is not on our side, religion has been used to subjugate women. Not just Christianity. I will not mention others because I'm not very. This is what I see with my
You're
own eyes.
conversant with them.
Even driving is an issue. Because why? Because my brain cannot see where I'm going. My eyes
No,
cannot
now
see.
that
My
one.
brain cannot calculate the distance. I will not drive like because this guy is. What is it? So men have used all available reasons to say the religious man, the Christian man here in this congregation will argue that if I make the bed, my wife will atazoea. Sasa itakuwa kazi yangu. And what is the issue? Mbona ni kazi yake? Mbona isikuwe kazi yako who make bed? These are Christians. These are not men of the world. These are people who are lifting holy hands in prayer. Maybe sometimes that's why no prayers are not being
And-
answered.
and the Lord is answering many of
because
those
the
They
Lord
are telling many of this.
so I have to say, men look for every reason to fight that change, and that's why it is slow. Me, that's my case. It's not that they are working on it pole pole. It's because they are fighting, and then they are forced to accept that it's okay to do household duties, and then they fight, and then they are forced by policies to accept that women should be in the political
Imagine,
space,
yeah.
and then they fight, and then they receive daughters from God, and then they see, oh, even education we can give women, and then that's why it is slow.
Yeah.
It is not because that we are accepting and working slowly. It's because they are fighting and being forced.
I think the
Fighting
beauty
and
of
being
what
forced.
you've just said is that, you know, the Lord is actually involved even in that change.
Yes.
In helping giving them daughters and say, I would not mind if my daughter
But-
became president.
But,
Yes.
but woe unto one that has to be forced by the Lord to see.
Imagine.
Woe unto them. If they
Yeah.
can just allow the
And we
word of
said-
God to permeate
and
and
we
see.
said, you know, it's not, we can't generalize the question of men. There are many homes that are seriously empowering women and their daughters and sons equally, because we have to maintain a balance. I think for me, the bigger concern within that homestead that we're discussing is the ability of the husband and wife together as a unit to come up with a vision for the family that aligns itself with kingdom values. Because you see, for Christians, we don't just happen, and we're not taking our cue from the world. If we are doing that, then no wonder there's all this hullabaloo and there's chaos. Actually, when you see a home that has, people are jostling for power, they're fighting over money, they're fighting over, the same things that the world, is fighting for, then the problem is more probably a discipleship issue. That's how I would argue. Because if you're two mature disciples, followers of Jesus Christ, each in their own right and in their own capacity, then we should be able to sit together because we love each other and we decided we're going to form a future together. Then we have a vision for our preferred future, not just for ourselves, but also for our children. Then we come up with goals that will align themselves with the kingdom values, because we are part of the kingdom and not with what is in the world. So we must choose what to accept and what to reject from the world.
Yeah.
So that if tomorrow, for example, if she's been promoted and given a high position, my view of that is this is the Lord granting this family favor. And so how would I not support her? And if I'm not supporting her, then there's an issue within myself. And I need first to be secure in God. Who am I? I'm still the husband.
Absolutely.
If she becomes president,
Yeah.
I am the president's spouse, without the responsibility of running the country. It's a good
Are you
position.
happy with
I'll put
that?
a
Pardon?
pin.
Are you happy with
I'm
that?
putting a pin on that.
Absolutely. Oh, if
President's
she was to
spouse.
become president, I'll be very happy.
What would you do?
Myself, I'll follow her everywhere.
I
tell you.
Bishop,
Yes.
thank you. You're raising very good points, and I
Yes.
totally agree. When it leads to the need of supporting, seeing the vision where we go and support the woman. Don't be intimidated. Work on your insecurities. Amazing points. And that leads me. And you talked of an example where if she became a president, you would support her happily. I have a question on some observation I've seen. These examples we've talked about, the women in power. Kamala Harris, there's the spouse. President Suluhu, there's the spouse. Martha Koome, there's the spouse right beside there. I don't know about you, but an observation that I've made is when it's the woman in power and the spouse, the man comes after the spouse, who is the man in this case, is not in that office, there's this demeanor they take that is, mellow, docile, subservient. You compare that to an Obama who is in power and a Michelle Obama. All of a sudden, she's this powerhouse that rises, one of the most admired women in the world. So, and that led me to a question I have in my mind. Is this demeanor a societal socialization? Or is it a statement on us, a woman being in power and the spouse being the one behind him, Like, what's Kamala Harris' husband's name? Douglas, being labeled as the second gentleman, he even has a gentle word there. Is it a societal socialization thing, or is it probably us fighting with God and defying the natural order of things? What's going on? What's
There's also
happening?
the personality. Maybe the personalities and the temperaments of these guys, they like working behind the scene. They say, let me diminish as you.
But
as
is
you
it
increase.
really
Okay,
though?
as
Is
you
it really
increase.
though?
I
Is
think
it really though?
I feel, in fact, in that example, a question has just risen in my mind. Are men easier allowing women into their limelight to ride
Very
on their
good
power
question, Bishop.
and their
Very
authority?
good
No,
question,
it's a serious issue. Look, the minute Obama became president, we view Michelle as a powerful woman,
Yes.
very influential.
And
The
Obama
opposite will
goes
not
out
be
of his
true.
way.
It's almost like, the minute the woman rises to power, does the man have permission to ride on that position and
by
power?
the woman
Begin
or
by
by
the woman or
society?
by society?
But
Or by
that's
God?
the question.
by
The
the
question is,
institutions
what has Suluhu done to bring the husband to a place of power as Obama would
No, I'll
for
tell you
Michelle?
what I
Or
think.
like our
I'll
president
tell you what I
today.
think Suluhu has
No,
done.
no, wait.
Suluhu was supposed to travel to Kenya.
Yes.
I am picturing a conversation in her home where she tells her husband,
I can see where this is
Babe,
headed.
see, we go to Kenya. And Babe said, me, I follow a woman.
No, wait a minute. It's not even about the issue of following Lorraine.
Because you're
Let's
not there.
begin with the issue of
Because you are not there, let's
have,
not argue.
yeah,
That-
have you made structures to empower the guy so that he also comes up as the first gentleman, and actually there is notable power that has been given.
me
Because you look at
And celebration.
and celebration. Look
I
at
think-
Uhuru, for example. Rises to power. The first thing, what project do you want?
Beyond
Beyond Zero. I will get it. Anything. There is an intentionality from the president
Ma-
to make the wife powerful.
Madenge.
Is there an
President who has done-
intentionality
Madenge,
from
have you forgotten
Suluhu
what
to
the
make
Queen did
husband
for
powerful?
what the
For
Queen
Prince
Elizabeth
Philip.
for Prince Philip? He crowned him as the prince.
No,
That's an
that
opportunity.
was required
but for
by
some
the
reason,
monarchy.
we
No,
all
no,
of
no.
a sudden.
Actually, the guy even demanded it. Honestly.
Has to demand it.
Aliona mimi huku nitafifia.
Angeachiliwa huko hivyo.
And
know,
mind you, that even before that, he was a prince.
You know,
Even
after,
before he
after
got
Rev
married.
Philip, I'm very curious to hear Reverend Maggie's thoughts as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead. Finish up your
Oh,
statement.
no, no.
Just
Please.
go ahead,
Yeah,
finish
finish
then
up
I'll
the
be after you.
statement,
Where was I?
I interrupted rudely. Your point happened to be agreed.
Even Jasmine, I think it's a very, I think it's something we need to ponder about. Whether it's a, like you're saying, is it
Yeah.
societal? Because there is something societal
Yeah.
about how we view men whose women are in power as opposed to the men. Because again, we are coming from a context where the man leads and then the woman supports. Even the saying that behind every successful man is a woman is already a societal normalization of the position that the man is always in power, the woman. So maybe we haven't come up with a language, and this is where the question of change and time comes in. We haven't even come up with a language to be able to define that man who now is following the woman in power, and even how to recognize or even honor him if he requires honor. We don't even know that that is what he will require, you know? And maybe those are some of the things that as more women come into power, we begin to normalize the man who now is the second gentleman, or is it first gentleman?
Yeah, the first, second gentleman.
Yes,
First,
okay,
second.
The
that
first,
one.
second
The
gentleman.
gentleman who is not in
Yeah.
power, how do we define him?
Yeah.
Does he have an actual role? And if you've heard in politics what they say, if I'm the one in power, even men who are following me sometimes are in a derogatory way referred to as flower girls. You've heard that
Yeah,
terminology.
yeah.
And really, the event is not really yours. Where mnakuja tu kwa you're part of the decor. Is that what we are saying, you know? And how do we normalize, how do we define that position so that it has dignity and it has function even, you know? So that the man doesn't look like he's apologetic as he follows the first lady. You know,
Yes, so,
Rev Maggie, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say, I think you speak some of the things I wanted to say, but I wanted to observe and say that our institutions haven't grown to a place where they now have a developed position for the first gentleman. So we are saying that when women are leading, that's a new and emerging position. So because this position is in its infancy, it's still very young, I think you have to craft the policies that you allow for a developing position for a man who supports his wife who is in leadership. And because the institutions haven't grown that position yet, it's awkward. It will be awkward for a man. And because a man does not know how to follow.
To be second, yeah, to follow.
Number two.
well, in
So-
undefined spaces.
Yes.
Correctly put. So he'll be awkward. He'll try to appear meek, and he's not meek and mild.
Yeah.
But
Pale
he'll
home,
appear
home
to be.
anafinya.
So he knows because
public
it's like a fish
akafanya.
out of water. He doesn't know how to navigate this unstable
murky waters.
waters
Yeah.
at all. So I think we have to allow for a situation where our institutions grow and I'll craft a nice space that our men can occupy comfortably and be able to support their wives from there and start doing projects. Not that men can do projects. Men have projects. Men are always doing projects. We know that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to an undefined space, he doesn't know how to conduct himself. You leave your husband at home alone. And the food is labeled in the fridge and you've been away for a seminar for 2 days. He'll open the fridge and he'll not know what to do. He'll close it and say, there's no food in this house. You go and look
Yeah,
for food
I'm
elsewhere.
going to cook,
So
yeah, to buy
it's
food.
not fair. Well, let me
Women do the
speak for
same with
men.
their wardrobes. There's nothing for me to wear. Then she closes and it's
Wow,
full.
Bishop, you're in low blow.
So I think talking
get
for
a
the men, I can
comeback.
say it's not fair for us to criticize the men when the position has actually not been defined. And I don't think they saw it coming. And that's why it wasn't defined.
Well,
So it behoves us now to begin thinking how to influence growth in that space.
My question is, do men sit and wait to be defined? I agree with you. I wonder whether men are okay with sitting and being defined for that space. This is what I mean. I feel like women define that space for themselves. I came to the White House in the case of Akina Michelle Obama, and because parties and events will happen, I'm going to pick the china, I'm going to do the decor, because women are given to such things for beauty. I think when Madenge brought up the issue of Beyond Zero campaign, I don't think Uhuru told his wife, I want you to do this. Maybe she has a passion for women and birth and infants. And so she decided, because I know I will have influence in this sector that I'm into, let me do this. And the president, of course, it's not even an allowed thing. You can do it. No one needs to sign a form and say, therefore you can do it. Now, my question is, these men, once you get into that position, why are you lost for yourself? Why don't you say,
Why are you not
I'm
proactive?
here? Why are you not proactive and say, I am in this space, I want to support my wife who is a president or who is a vice president, and I know that, I don't know, men's voices are not, or men are getting depressed and no one is helping them. I'm going to start a campaign for men speaking out. And you go ahead and do it, so that waiting for policies and the institution and people to come up, define a space, might not work, because also men are not like that. They won't sit and wait to be told, sasa wanaume in this sector wanafanyanga hivi.
Or the other
think
question,
it has to go hand-
question
yeah,
could
go
be,
hand in hand.
the other question
You know,
could
like-
be, to paraphrase what you're saying, oh, are they intimidated? Are you guys
Maybe.
intimidated
And
when you're
Mona,
behind
as
there?
he once told us a story of these pastors and elders who went to coast somewhere, and there were women who were elders and pastors, and when their husbands came and they saw that there were more women than men, they took the flight back to wherever they came from.
didn't know
Why are you not knowing what to do? Why don't you, as 3 or 2 men or 5, however many you are,
Define that
decide
space for you.
we're going to make fires for these women to cook nyamas, we're going to. Why are you not defining that? Why are you running away? Are you intimidated? Are you afraid of being
Maybe
with
it's a
many
context.
women?
I think it can begin with fear, anxiety, and intimidation. It's also a starting point.
Yeah.
And then after some time, you say,
Thanks for acknowledging
I will
it.
not run away now. We need to define this space. Again, listen, we are saying this is relatively new.
Yeah.
Women have had centuries of defining their role because men have always led. So you guys have had time. Now, when the shoe is on the other side, we've not been in this space before. So you have to give us time to define what it means for myself to be the first gentleman when my wife is president. For me, I will not run away when she's president. I will define that space the way you are saying. And I'll say, behold, what can I do, you know, for the boy child, for example. So, but we're just saying, because it's not a very familiar space, you know, it will take time for us to define it. And you talked about normalization. Normalization, again, is a process. It begins from one place, and then you realize, okay, like what we're talking about, the new normal. How we do our thing is different from how we used to do before COVID. But it took time. You know, we've now had over a year of this thing to begin to understand how does it affect us. At first, you remember, even during the first lockdown, we were full of fear. Everybody was taking off. Somebody says, "Achoo!" Everybody takes off. But now, we are normalizing it. But it's a process. It takes time. So
Okay.
me, I would say, I don't think we should be impatient with ourselves. Let's also be patient with the men in terms of us coming into that season of even understanding ourselves and our changing roles in society. And I'm not saying that, you know, again, we should not flip the coin to an extent where it's so radical. We are like fish out of water. Conversations around change are important.
Absolutely.
The understanding of what is my new role.
Yes.
If it's my wife who's the breadwinner, what is my role then? How can I, you know, properly be able to support the family? Again, I go back to the united vision, because we are still a family. Whoever is holding the mantle at that particular time in terms of economic sustenance, but we have a goal as a family. Where is this going? And are we still contributing to the bigger vision of the kingdom of God as a couple?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that when opportunities come and maybe power brings, authority brings money, it doesn't get into our head that we go crazy. We start doing things we would never have done before. Why? Because we have a vision which must align to kingdom values.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that, because even Christian families can be affected negatively if we are not prepared with a bigger vision than ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bishop. And I feel from your many words, you brought up very pertinent points as we bring this discussion to an end. As you supporting your spouse through different seasons, it looks like, first of all, actually acknowledging the change, because probably one of the biggest things that holds us back is you're in denial, constantly fighting back. So depending whether it's the man or it's the woman who is in question in this convo, acknowledge the change that is happening. Number two, it's difficult. We have to acknowledge that change is difficult in itself. So being patient with ourselves, normalizing those conversations around the circles that you're in, and probably help us ease into the process of change. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. Can you imagine? We are coming towards the end of our discussion, and so many of us have actually joined us and commented. So, Lo, we can just say hi to them. Acknowledging them and saying hi to them.
Yeah. Karibuni sana. It was a pleasure to have all of you join us. Never mind that this was our first time. You knew that we were coming and you came to join this conversation. I just want to say hi to you, Lillian Kibagenti. We missed you too. And Marvin Williams, our pastor friend from the States, he says, this is such a lively, robust, and lively conversation. I love it. By my score at home, the women are, hey, brother in Christ. By my score at home, the women are winning 5-2, and they are up for several free kicks. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you. Wilkista says, someone let Pastor Madenge speak. Pastor Madenge aliona points kumbe hakuna. He thought he had points. And Drew is one of our pastor's husbands. I would imagine you would want to support your pastor wife, Drew. But Drew says, I am not able to follow, but I completely agree with everything my fellow men are saying. Good to have this show back.
Thank you.
Chokozi.
Oh my goodness. There's a gentleman here who's joined, Kevo Karibu Sana, Kevo Masharia. He says, I do support Bishop's statement. I don't know which one, but you are both not right.
Yeah.
So now when you start supporting each other again, I think our next topic should be, what do women want?
Good point.
Oh, we'll tell you what we want. We
will
have
tell
defined
you.
all our
My
spaces. We
goodness.
will answer.
When you don't support, when you
Pointers.
support, when
Do you
don't.
see me with a pen here? Yeah. Right. Thank you, Rev Lo, and thank you everyone so much for joining us today. It is so nice to be back, and make sure to tune in next week because we'll be coming back live here at Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka. But make sure also to share this link with someone and let people know Homescapes team, Mamlaka Hill Chapel, Ruaka, is back and is excited. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.